Hey everybody, welcome to the episode 5 of the Turn and Burn podcast. I'm Jason with JR Custom Designs, Rotoboss Rotary Attachments. Today I got with me Chris and Robert. Today we brought Robert on to talk to us a little bit about himself and how he got started and where he's at today with everything. So if anybody has any questions during this, please feel free to shoot it in the comment section and we'll answer it as soon as we can. But without further ado, let's go ahead and have Chris introduce himself, and then we'll have Robert take it from there.
What's up, everybody? Chris, House of Lasers, also Thunder Laser Support and Training. Yeah, we're happy to have Rob on here today, and Rob has really made a mark for himself. Kind of that nice gentleman with the white goatee. Who is that guy?
I shaved my beard off, if you noticed. Yeah.
Santa Claus on
Santa
vacation.
Claus. Yep.
He's so knowledgeable. So you made a name for yourself. How did you get started?
Well,
So first, introduce yourself.
Yep, somewhat of a long story, Chris. I'm Robert Kofoed. I own Computer Creations, and to back up quite a ways, because I think it's important to tell the whole story. My grandfather was a huge influence in my life. And he always told me, you always want to have more than one option. Well, I had a corporate job for 40 years. I worked for a local electric utility in the operations side of the business with the linemen and dealing with designing electrical systems, that kind of stuff. But I always had a side hustle. From the time I was 19 years old, I had something going on the side. By the time I was 23, I owned and operated a taxidermy studio. So I'd go to work for the utility, then I'd come home, go to the studio, work 6 or 7 hours there. And I was always doing something else other than my corporate job. Back in 1994, that's when Computer Creations was born. So it's been around for 30 years. And back then, Computer Creations was a mobile photography studio where my wife and my daughter and I would go to these different events. We'd photograph them. We'd print the prints on site. It was just when digital photography was coming about, and did that for a while. And in 2000, I pretty much got away from the photography and went full bore into woodworking. And had a CNC machine, did that for quite some time. And then right around when the pandemic hit, I retired right before the pandemic hit. And it was funny because at that point in time, we weren't sure how much money we were going to be able to live on. We had a pretty good idea, but we weren't sure. And right after I retired, I told my wife, I says, hey, I want to order this laser. And it's going to be about $1,200. And she's like, I'm not sure where we're at yet. So anyway, we ordered it, and it was a diode. It took me 2 months. It took me 2 months to learn how to use it and get it fired up, because there was hardly anything back into, at the start of the pandemic to know what to do. So generated that. Found out within a couple of months that 10-watt diode was just not going to do what I wanted it to do. It was just too slow. And at that point is when I stumbled onto the Thunder brand, and shortly ordered a Nova 24 after that. And kind of the rest is history. I've been associated with doing laser work since the early 2020, and really have pivoted my business. Before 2020, I had a full-blown woodworking shop, had all the tools that I needed. I could pretty much build anything that I needed to. I was doing a lot of custom work, custom cabinets, jewelry boxes, that kind of stuff. But I always wanted to be in lasers. Matter of fact, I wanted to put a laser on my CNC machine, but it was just not that good to do it at that point in time. And then I started kind of getting away from the full-blown woodworking and more into the lasers. And what I found out is when I retired, and I couldn't find anything that I needed on YouTube to help me learn how to use this diode laser, I decided, you know what? I've always wanted to do a YouTube channel. I'm going to give this a try. I love to speak in front of people. I did that in my corporate job for many, many years, and it's something that I enjoy doing. And so I started it with really no expectation of how big I was going to get, or even if I was going to like doing it. And
So when was that?
so that was like March of 2020.
Okay, so for the YouTube channel,
Yeah.
which has grown exponentially by leaps and bounds, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's, we're getting dangerously close to 30,000 subscribers. I'll have that probably middle of next month.
Nice.
And
Nice.
yeah, it's it seems like there's several different styles in YouTube, and I'm kind of the down in the weeds kind of guy. Some people love that, some people don't. And so it's one of those deals where you got to kind of choose what you want to do. And yeah, so it's been good. And what's amazing to me, guys, and both of you will understand this with creating content, is some of my most popular videos on my channel were the first ones that I ever did.
Yeah.
And I've got one video on my channel that's 10 tips and tricks about light burn. Right. And it's been #1 on my channel from the day I released it, and almost 4 years later, it's still #1 today.
Nice.
That's crazy.
And what's crazy is you look at that. I tried to diagnose it. Why is that so popular? And you compare that to other content, right? Right. And it's like, I don't see the difference. But it's been like I said, when I released it, it went to #1, and it's never come off that mark.
A lot of times it has to do with the tagline or something in the description, or who you tag during it. Things like that has a lot to do with it too.
Just light burn tips and tricks. I mean, that's a huge title.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
And we all know that the title and kind of your description verbiage makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
awesome.
So it's been a passion of mine. I really enjoy it. This last year, I stepped up my game and got some pretty good quality camera equipment, and I migrated over to DaVinci Resolve for video editing software, and that's pretty much, you can take that as far as you want to go. But
so that's an interesting side of it that doesn't get discussed. So shooting the video is a very small portion of what we do. There is probably 2 to 3 times that work going into post, making the video, whether it's, cutting and editing and clipping and adding transitions and all that stuff. I mean, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of time, and people don't realize what goes into it. They're happy to comment.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, it's funny. I remember the first, probably 20 videos that I produced back in 2020, they would take me a full day or better, just to get a 10-minute YouTube video, out there. And there were still problems with it, right? I was still learning, but it can take a huge amount of time.
Well, that's like back when I first started, what was it, 2018, 2019, and even up till about a year ago, like I would try to shoot everything in one go, because I didn't know how to edit, and what I could edit, it was kind of crappy. Like now I got one of my employees, he does video editing and stuff, so he's the one that does all the new videos. But yeah, I remember starting out. If you look back at like JAR Custom Designs is where it all started, and then I tried to I migrated most of it to the Rotoboss. But if you look at some of those videos, man, I was using some cheap 720p little fisheye, like those little. We talked about it before, but the little square PCBs with the camera on it. Like you using stuff like that to make videos, and it's just neat to see
What you don't know, you don't know, and
Yeah.
until you start either getting critiqued or as you dive into the depths of YouTube and content creation, you start figuring it out pretty quick.
Well, that's one thing I didn't. Unfortunately, I didn't put a lot of emphasis on early on was videos. Like I did a lot of stuff early on with instructional videos and things like that. But as far as like my brand, I neglected a lot of that with videos and stuff like that just because I didn't have time.
Right.
So I mean, social media is like a double-edged sword. I mean, if you do it right, you could do it good, or everything kind of goes well. But if you don't do it right, then you kind of get what you get.
So Rob, you went from starting a YouTube channel and messing around with lasers and figure them out to training people. And now you have these twister trays for the Thunder laser to help with the rotary tools. So yeah, I mean, you can explain a little bit about your training and how that I'm sure it happened kind of like me. Hey, I see you're pretty good at this, and I love your videos. How much is it?
Yeah.
How much for an hour of your time?
Yeah, it certainly came organically. One of the things again that I truly enjoy is training and just communicating or trying to help people out. And so I started that probably 3 years ago, and it initially started with just people that I either met through laser that said, "Hey, I'm struggling with this. Can you help me out?" And I would go back and forth, and then one thing led to two. Well, you help me here, can you help me there? And I enjoyed it so much that I actually put it into my business model, and it's about 15% of my bottom line. And I don't make a lot of money on it, but because I enjoy it so much, I try to do 3 or 4 training sessions a week. And those are hour sessions. Interesting statistic. I looked the other day. I've got about 250 one-on-one training sessions since I started.
Wow.
So not to plug Thunder or anything like that, but are most of those Thunder people? Because I know we as a tech and training side will fall back on somebody like you, and your name comes up a lot when we're having somebody that's just struggling and hasn't been able to get through the system, right?
Yep.
They're doing well and they're following everything, but they want it now. And you've always been kind of, all right, Rob's a good guy, pay him $100 or whatever it is, and go talk to him.
Yeah, I've noticed and got feedback from people too, is like the way you talk in your videos. For me, it's not my preference, but you're very kind of you're steady and you're concise. Like you take time and you don't try to speed up your speaking. Yeah. Like it's you,
down in the weeds
just,
guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, you take that information and you put it out. To me, I like the content, but I don't like the way it's presented just for me, because I like quicker. I like like hurry up, get to the point, get to the point. Yep. Whereas you go through a lot of things, which for new users and stuff is really good, because like they can kind of follow along. Because sometimes I'll find myself like, how do I do this? I'll pull up like YouTube or something and I'll watch it and I'll try to mimic it on my end. So the way that you present it is really good for that, I think. And I have had some people mention the way that you do your videos. I haven't heard anything negative, but it's just the way you do it. People can easily follow. If they want to try to kind of keep up and do it themselves, you afford that by the way the pace of your speaking.
Well, I don't know, Rob, about you, but for me, I'm a simple guy, and the more basic I can explain it, I think it's the easier it comes across. I mean, the criticism that I get now is like, man, your videos are so long. But you can pause it and come back, pause it, figure it out, come back. I'm breaking it down to the very small details and stuff that you may not want to know.
Right.
But you should really understand if you're going to be using a machine that's $15,000.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
isn't a printer. This is a machine that can light your house on fire.
Right.
So
Exactly.
you might want to know some of these
Just
these
a few
important
details.
parts.
Well,
Right.
yeah,
right.
I'm the kind of guy that I want to teach you the whys and hows and not just give you the answer.
Right.
Because you're going to come back to me 3 minutes later for another answer. And I'd rather, it's kind of like teach a person to fish instead of just providing the fish. It's a same concept. It's one of those deals where, and let's face it, we've got a huge number of people that are coming into the laser industry that may have not done a lot of their homework, right? And they just don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And they think it's going to be I'm going to look at this thing for a couple of hours and I'll be able to master it. And that's going to be that. And it just isn't that way. And so
a lot of people get confused with the whole printer because like Glowforge really screwed things up with that, calling it a laser printer. So people think, oh, I just plug it in and
it's a printer.
hit start and then it goes. Well, yeah, it's not quite that simple.
When you get into these higher dollar machines, and even the Bolt, which isn't a high dollar machine, it's an affordable machine. It's still not a plug and play. There's still a lot of settings that you need to learn, and you have to be the master of your tool, like an artist. Like a welder. It takes him schooling to learn how to weld. Yeah, I mean, you're just taking electric and burning some shit together, but but to do it right and have it solid and structurally sound, you got to know what you're doing.
Yeah. You got to test and play with it and see what worked. And the lasers, huh? Whatever.
Yeah.
The lasers really not any different.
Yeah, the minute and I see this all the time during my trainings, is a lot of people come to me and they want to learn 16 things at once. Right. And the first thing that I tell them is, we need to pick a couple of your favorite mediums and master those.
Yeah.
And don't move on until you do that, because what I'm going to tell you to do in relations to wood is completely different compared to what I'm going to have you do in acrylic.
Right.
And if you try to do all of those at the same time, you never understand the nuances of the different materials that you work with. And once people understand, I see why, then they're off and running. But everybody's excited. They have ideas on what they want to do for this and that and the other. And it's
you gotta get the basic mechanics down first.
Yeah. Yes.
So I just bought a bolt. And I just finished the training academy, and I'm gonna do a full wrap now. I'm just gonna do a full wrap. like a lot of people don't understand that we have slowly stair-stepped our way to that achievement, and it is an achievement. There's a lot of things that go in. You just don't put it in there and press some buttons and perfect full wrap.
Yeah.
A lot of the content that people
flat surfaces first, learn the machine and what it's supposed to do, and then let's move forward to the more complicated stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's like like I said, you got to get the fundamentals first. Like jumping off into cups, like somebody I talked to yesterday or the day before, they just got their machine. They've already committed to a job, and they've never used either the laser or a rotary before.
Right.
And it baffles. I mean, I understand, they want to get their money back. They want to get going and everything, but it just baffles me that people do that without, kind of researching or just like even researching or talking to people like, hey, and you get the comments all the time too. I see that. Like, how do I do this? Like, what settings should I use? It's like, well,
I've never driven a car before, but I'm gonna be a Formula One driver.
Yeah. Well, like I did a training for rotary stuff with a lady about a week or two ago, and it was kind of like what Robert said. She had all these different things that she wanted to learn how to do with it, and we had a 2-hour time slot. And I was basically like, look, we need to get the fundamentals first. Like, I understand that you want to do wraps, I understand you want to do this and that, but you have to understand how the machine works, and what settings to change, and what, based on the different materials and things like that. And like, she wanted to jump straight off into, this is another one that was had never done tumbler stuff at all, and jumped right into doing wraps. And
Right.
it was just like, we have to get the basics first, because she had an
Yep.
old, I think it was a D80 or D90 or whatever for her
Gotta
chuck.
crawl.
But and I'm sitting there walking her through how to do it, and then it was like, squirrel. like we'd be talking about one thing, and she's like, oh, but I want to learn this now. I'm like, well, we haven't even finished what we're talking about.
And
So
and to be upfront, we're making fun, and we're being a little sarcastic and jovial about it, but we're trying to help people that might be watching it, that there's steps to take prior to jumping in. You don't jump in the ocean if you don't know how to swim. You learn in a little kiddie pool first. And yeah, I mean, if we have to break it down that basic, let's swim in the kiddie pool so we can stand up, and then we can go into the deep end. Let's
Yep.
take it step by step. And I mean, Rob, you'll agree, Jason, you'll agree that knowing what the machine is doing and why it does it will make you so much more successful.
Huge. Yeah.
I
absolutely.
mean,
Well, I mean,
you'll be able to
all these
design
videos,
and create so many different things that you never thought were possible, just because you understand.
I mean, I admire people's ambition to
Right.
do that stuff, but it's just like from like us, me and Chris. I know Robert, you started around 2000, but like me and Chris have been doing this. I've been doing this since 2015. And we've built our technical expertise, so to speak, on how to do certain things. Like, I can get something in the shop, look at it, and I can almost certainly figure out what I need to do to make it work just by looking at it, knowing the type of wood it is, knowing the type of acrylic, knowing the type of cup, the coating, all that different stuff. But it takes time to learn that. And a lot of it's trial and error. And a lot of people, well, I don't want to waste money. I don't want to, ruin a cup. I don't want to do this. It's like, well, you're going to have to. You have to.
Right. You have
Yep.
to.
And like I've said before, is like, I use spray paint. Like, I have a 20-ounce tumbler. So if I'm doing a really intricate design or something and I want to make sure it works, I take my 20-ounce tumbler that's been engraved on God knows how many times, and I'll just spray paint over it and then reuse it. So I have one cup in each size, basically, that I can test on before I actually do the final product. And then, of course, the tape test is another good one. But, learning how to do those certain things, like, you're going to have to spend money. I know it sucks. We've all been there, rubbing nickels together to try to make ends meet in the business or whatever. But you have to invest that into it, or else you're constantly going to be trying to play catch up and learning as you go. And that's not when you want to, not when you want to learn it, So, I mean, I don't know, like, if you specialize in anything, but like myself, I do all custom stuff. So usually either repeat business or, they've called everybody else that does engraving and they won't do it, and I'll do it. Because, I don't like to turn things away, for one, but one, that with my experience, it allows me to be able to do that. And two, it helps build on that experience by kind of getting out of your comfort zone and learning new things and challenging yourself and things like that. But you just got to kind of be mindful of how you do that, because you don't, like, if someone brings an heirloom to you, you don't want to you don't want to ruin someone's family heirloom by making the wrong call. But things like that is just it. Oh yeah, I mean, it takes time, and people just need to understand that. I mean, as bad as it sucks financially sometimes, I mean, you just have to, like, I was telling this lady, she's wanting to do Stanley cups, and we were testing on a dupe. I'm like, you understand that the size the texture, the thickness of the material on it, all that stuff's going to be different. So even if you dial it in on this, those settings may not work on that Stanley or a Yeti or whatever it is. So that's where it's good to either have the experience prior or get something to test on and learn from.
Well, you're right there,
says,
Jason.
Just jump on him. Just go. If you give him room to talk, he's gonna talk, Rob. You just gotta step on his toes.
I just wanted to hit a question real quick, so we're not forgetting anything. But yeah, unfortunately, Glowforge X Tool make it look like anybody can do it, and that's what I was gonna get at too. Is like all the influencers and stuff. Rob, maybe myself and Chris included. They see us do this stuff so effortlessly that they feel like that they can do it, which they can eventually.
They can. It just takes a lot of trial and error. Yeah.
Yep. So.
Yep. Well, yeah, going back to what you were talking about, Jason, I'm the same way. I do nothing but custom work. I don't make things to sell. Usually I have an order, before I do it. But even today, when I'm doing, whether it's tumblers or flat work, whatever it is, I'm always ordering extra of, those tumblers or whatever. Because even as many tumblers as I've done, on occasion, for whatever reason, I will mess that up. And if I only ordered, the 100 tumblers that I need and I mess one up, it can be a problem. So I'm always ordering a handful of this, that, and the other. And as painful as it is, it takes a huge kind of risk out of the process, because if you mess one up, it's no big deal. You've got another one or two here. And that's just a stress that you don't really need, right? I mean, we've all been there where your customers say, okay, here are your bottles, and I don't have any extra. Your anxiety goes through the roof, no matter how many times you've done that.
Oh, absolutely.
And who wants to pay for JDS shipping? So we just order it all at once.
Yep, that's exactly right. I was going to say just from the extra order, I just did a pretty large kind of a wood tray with the slate insert from JDS.
Yep.
I did a huge amount of those, and I ordered 15 or 20 extra just to have, because I didn't have those, and I used I think 14 of those extras out of the 15 or 16 extra, because there were defects in the product. Now, JDS is going to make it right, but if I wouldn't have done that, I would have, had to wait for them to ship me more. And so that's the other reason. Not that JDS has, most of their stuff is incredible, but I don't care where you're getting your materials from. You want to put a little buffer into your orders, either from a mistake that you've made, or maybe you want to try something different. Or a lot of times that customer calls and says, hey, I miscounted. I need 3 more.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I've had that happen before. I place an order and I happen to get extras, and then the customer calls and says, hey, can I get an extra 5 or 10 of them? It's like, I kind of I play it down like, I'll have to see if I can get them, and because I mean, I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. I'd rather underpromise and overdeliver.
Right.
I'm probably not as stocked as Jason is, but I'm sure I'm stocked like you are, Rob.
Yep.
I have extras. I always buy extras, and I have 2 shelves filled. So
that's it.
Maybe somebody comes in and plans like for their anniversary, like I do. So about 5 minutes before dinner. Hey, I need that cutting board.
Yeah,
I've got one.
I'm on my way.
Right, Rob, what you got? So I have it. I'm ready to go in case that last, a buddy or somebody needs something real quick. I have it.
Well, the good thing, like at least for flat stuff, like if you're unsure of something, at least for me, basically what I'll do is, if I'm really unsure how it's going to burn or how it's going to turn out, usually I'll err on the side of caution, and I'll use a lesser power or something, or a different speed or something That way, if it's not right, I can go over it
You can
again,
sneak up on it. Yep.
make it a little deeper, make it a little darker by changing some settings around or whatever. Because if you go whole hog on it and just dig into it and it's not right, you're done. And
You're
the
done.
same
You
with
can't back up. Yeah.
same with cups. Like every cup we do, whether it's 1 or 1,000, I always do a test, a tape test to make sure it's coming out right. Whether it's a cup I have on the shelf that I could just easily grab if I mess up or not, I usually, and that's kind of the other person that does our laser work in the shop. I have her do the same thing. It's like, I don't care how long it takes. If it takes an extra 10, 15 minutes, do a test, make sure it's right. Because I mean, you don't want to do rework and you don't want to waste money, and spending an extra 10 or 15 minutes to do a test, even though it's one cup, could potentially save you $10 to $50 depending on what the item is, you know. So it just, for me, it works that way. It's better to do a test regardless of how comfortable you are, because like I've been doing this for the rotary stuff for probably 6 or 7 years, and I still do a tape test almost every single time, because you just never know.
Jason, throw that last comment up. So this is pretty interesting. Like, yes, it was around, and I don't disagree, but the content that was available for lasers was non-existent. It did not exist, and it was in retrospect, I'm thinking it's a good thing that it was guarded. The information was guarded, and it kept the industry not as flooded, definitely not as flooded as it is now. I mean, the ease of finding information and the ease of getting a machine is totally different than even, you're talking 24, right? 2004. We were talking, 2015 when we started, there was still zero information. Nobody was letting it out of the bag. No, it wasn't talked about. Very guarded secrets, especially for fiber. Fiber, forget about it. They just they literally mess with you on Facebook groups. Like, yeah, look at this this polymer magazine that I have. It's I'm engraving it red just with settings. No, it was dyed underneath. You paint it black. They were just screwing with people. But looking back and looking at how flooded the industry is, I liked it back then.
I mean, back then we were the content.
Yeah,
for a lot of it. When
Rob started, he was probably one of the first to come on board. When I started, I mean, there wasn't a lot of YouTube channels for.
I mean, you had Russ Sadler, which was where I learned a lot of stuff from.
Right.
Yeah, we all did.
but he's like an in the weeds kind of guy. So if you're not ready for an hour and a half or 2 hour video on how to do a dot test, or something, he's not the guy for you. But you can learn an infinite amount of knowledge by watching his videos, and I learned a lot from him. I'd sit there for hours just watching his videos.
Yeah,
that's really all we had. Like I don't understand the question. Like we were lucky. I wouldn't say we were lucky.
He does talk a lot. He does, and he's gotten more than in the weeds. Like he's now not making as much content, but commenting on other people's creations and trying to prove them wrong. So he's in the final stages of this stuff, and now he just has points to prove and a knowledge to prove.
Yeah, but I mean, either way, I mean the knowledge he has is over and above what most people need. But like for myself, I'm a very technical person. I like to know like the ins and outs of everything on how it works, why it works. So for me, it was really good. But you can also pick pieces of what he does and says in his videos and just use that knowledge at some point.
Right.
Like your dot size, or the kerf, cutting acrylic on how to get it dialed in to where it doesn't leave a smoke ring around the top,
he definitely
millimeter
was one of the first ones. I mean, I remember when I first started, before my machine even came, I was trying to watch some of his videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then we started doing our videos around 2018, I think.
Yeah,
somewhere
I'd
around
have
there.
to see when, but yeah, I mean, it was for the lack of information where it pushed me to start mine.
Yeah.
And just a general understanding of it, where a lot of people just didn't get it. It doesn't click, but obviously for us, it did, and we shared it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, for me, like sharing the knowledge is important. Because I mean, even like some people that are around here that do laser stuff by me, I mean, they stop by the shop, we talk shop. I'm not afraid to share information because I mean, there's enough to go around really,
Right.
and you know, I'm more driven to help people than I am myself in a lot of ways. To see someone else succeed or learn something is satisfaction for me. Um, and I think just from knowing Robert, I mean I feel he's the same way as far as his information. I mean obviously at some point you got to monetize your knowledge because otherwise people are just going to take advantage of it.
Right.
And but like doing these podcasts and things like that, we put out information. Some of it may be irrelevant in the current state, but at some point maybe you can look back and be like, oh yeah, I remember them talking about that or something like that. So just having a free flowing source of information, I think is key. And like when we first started, everything was guarded, like everything. Yes, Chris.
Thank you. So I mean, I did want to discuss a little bit about the trays that Rob's making.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've done the lack of anything and put it on the crumb tray on the bolt. I've done the drop down brackets. No offense, Jason, but if I want to go from different rotaries and I don't want to have to deal with the drop down brackets on a fixed machine or a fixed rotary, it seems like you have a great solution.
Yeah, a little bit of background about how those the Roco twister tray came about. First of all, Roco, it's the first two letters of my first name and the first two letters of my last name. So that's where Roco came from. Twister, I figured, rotaries, that kind of stuff. My wife actually came up with a lot of that. But initially, when I got the bolt, and it was doing such a phenomenal job of engraving. I do a lot of boxes that are about 6 inches deep, a lot of pet memorials, that kind of stuff. And currently the bolt wouldn't do that with that 4.1, inches of Z depth. So originally that's kind of where it started. And once I got some mock-ups done and I put my rotaries in it, the light went on and went, wow, I'm keeping this. And this is what they look like for anybody that hasn't seen the tray. This is the one that goes in the bolt. I've got one that I just released on Monday that goes in the Nova 24 that really makes it nice. But
hey, Rob, when's the one for the 63 come out?
Well, here's the deal. Check this out. What I did, Chris, is I made brackets for the 24 tray, so you can drop it in between the slats for any of the Nova series.
That's true. I mean, you just take out the
you just take out 9 slats and you drop it in.
Yep. That would work perfect.
Yep. And then you have, this would be if you got the Talon mounted up, and so typically the beauty of this is because the tray indexes to the front of the frame on the bolt, I can just take this, use this hole in the middle, and just drop this whole assembly into the bolt, pull the tray forward, pin it, and you're good to go. And it's been really repeatable with anything that you can clamp in. And Jason was gracious enough to help me with these clamps when I didn't have a Talon, and it's working out real well. And so a lot of people now are I've got a mount that hangs on the wall. Matter of fact, you can see it right there. Yep. I've got them hung on the wall, so I just take it off the wall, drop it into the into the laser, plug it in, make sure it's indexed up front, and away we go. So, if you're interested, my online Shopify store is just computercreations.online.com. And you can go in there and, you can order all the different trays. I've got the different blocks that are up. The Nova 24 tray is on sale until the first bunch are sold out. And I'm offering free shipping on that. So.
And this isn't some cheap steel that's going to rust. This is made out of aluminum, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 1/8-inch aluminum, H5052 aluminum, and it's very rigid, as Jason can attest. It's won't
rigid. It won't rust.
Nope.
The only concerns I had when it first came out was the fact, like, where the corners aren't welded, where they're just pinch folded. That was my initial concern, but after using it, I mean, it's the thickness of it. What is that? Through 2 mil, 3 mil?
Yeah, it's 0.125. It's 1/8-inch.
Yeah, so 1/8-inch. So I mean, it's really stout, and can't wait to see the 24 one, because I mean, I think that one will be good as well. Like, I used the tray, and I told Robert before, I was like, I hate to admit it, but I think you got me. and then I hate myself for not coming up with it first, but yeah, I mean, it's like the drop downs or the tray, they both work the same as far as what they do, but the tray is definitely much easier to put in and take out.
This is recorded.
Hey,
no,
I'm not afraid to admit defeat.
Yeah, you got it.
And I mean, obviously there's a price difference, but for the convenience, I mean, I think the tray is nice. Like in my trailer, especially when I do events, I mean, I'm swapping rotary flat all day long, going back and forth. And with this, it makes it really easy. So I mean, it's a better mousetrap. I mean, they both work well, but the tray, I think, is a little bit better mousetrap in that regard, as far as how it works, and the fact, obviously you can hang it on the wall, which makes it nice, and keep everything up out of the way, and it secures really well. I noticed, like, we talked about the holes in the front. Have you had any issues with that, or any concerns with people?
I haven't, but I will tell you, and something you might want to try, Jason, that I kind of proven on these Nova 24 trays, because the holes for the Nova 24 tray were inconsistent enough. I didn't want to go there. Yeah. What I did was I put neoprene tape underneath the flanges, and so during my testing on the 24 tray, it's not pinned down or secured in any way. And I did some pretty rigorous, tests from a speed perspective on the 24, and that tray does not move with that neoprene tape. And I think you could probably do that with the tray on the bolt, and you'd be fine, and you wouldn't have to pin it.
Yeah, I definitely probably give it a shot.
The pins on the tray, I'm not too concerned about. What I would like to see, Rob, and I don't even know if it's possible, is some type of notch out so that you can put the honeycomb right over it and leave it in there.
Yeah, the way the current trays are, Chris, if you enlarge those two holes,
right,
you could the holes that I'm providing right now are just slightly smaller. But here's kind of the reason why I didn't do that, is I wasn't sure if that tray was going to set perfectly flat to where you get some kind of a cockeyed honeycomb, and then your focus would be screwed up, and so I just wasn't ready to go there.
Got it.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, if you have the rotary mounted in there,
if you have the rotary mounted, obviously you can't do it.
Yeah. Because taking it out, like, it's really convenient to have it in there and secured, and then like for me, I just reach in, I grab the crossbar, pull it out, hang it on the wall, put my my bed in, and then vice versa. Grab it off the wall, throw it in there, pull it to the front. I put the pins in as best as they'll go because the holes don't line up.
So
But-
you guys are gonna laugh, but I have a hybrid of both of yours.
Uh-oh. Well, he probably took the mounts and then put a piece of aluminum and attached it to the drop downs.
Yep, that's exactly what he did.
I knew it.
See, there you go.
Diamond plate, baby.
I was
You guys
going to
don't
say
have diamond plate.
that was probably out of an old toolbox.
Yep.
No,
And
I've
that's
got-
that's
my
one thing you can
plasma
do with the
cutter, I
drop
have
downs.
that.
But yeah.
Yep.
But yeah.
Well, you know, the other thing that's nice about those trays, and again, it's kind of how it started, is because I've got so many adjustment slots in the bottoms of those trays. When I'm doing my pet memorials or my deeper things, I can set all kinds of jigs, you know, alignment blocks, that kind of stuff, and be able to take some, you know, one thing out, put it right back in, and snuggle it up against things that are secured with those. With those slots.
I'm gonna have to get a bolt one for sure, because I would use it personally.
Okay, we'll hook you up, Chris.
Just send me a
bill. They're nice. I like them.
Yep.
I have a Thunder credit card. Just send me a bill.
And I don't care if it's
I'm not worried about it, my friend. Yeah, I'm not worried about it. It's one of those deals. So yeah. So anyway, that's where that is, and it's going. You know, it's well made. It's I've got a company making them for me that are 60 miles away, so I have complete control on kind of the quality. And it's a good quality product. They're not cheap. You know, it's one of those deals that I was going to make a quality product or I wasn't going to do it. And so that's where we're at. And so far, I think we're okay.
I noticed, and I put out in my video I did recently, between the version 1 and version 2, the color of the metal changed. Did you change the type of metal?
No, you know what that was initially. The kind of the matte finish is where it was deburred. Because the alignment guides are a single line cut completely through the aluminum.
Yep.
I wanted them to go ahead and deburr it, and I ordered one order that wasn't deburred just to see how much more work it was going to be for me to do that, because it cost money to deburr it. But there's no doubt in my mind, after having both, we're going to deburr the rest.
Yeah. I will tell you, if you haven't got it already, it's called a skiving tool. You probably have heard of it. Maybe not.
I don't think I have.
But it's like a small screwdriver. It's got a hooked tip on it that's kind of curved and sharp on one side, and it's made for metal. I mean, we use it for plastic, but you could take it and just run it right around the hole, and it takes that sharp edge off. So if you got any that weren't done, you could easily do that. And they're really cheap, and they got different blades for doing different types of stuff with. But it's a really quick and easy. I mean, it's just literally just ream the hole and it's done.
Done.
So Rob, I'm gonna make a promise to you live on air that if I have one of your trays, it's gonna be the first mirrored.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
You're gonna polish it.
I'll polish it to a chrome finish, aluminum chrome finish, and post about it, because that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, you know, I wanted this place that I'm having them made, they do anodizing as well, and I'm gonna have one anodized, and it's real close to the Thunder Blue.
Right.
But it's one of those deals where I didn't want to go down there, because how many anodized of what color, and of course that's just more.
And how much does it change? Is it inconsistent and all of that?
Exactly.
I don't blame you.
Blue is a very hard color to get, like master. Because if you go a little too much or a little too long or a little too little, it'll change the color drastically.
No, Jeff. Don't do it, Jeff. I'm doing it. Jeez.
We want to see it, Jeff. Send me a picture, bud.
So the question, are the holes in the bolt inconsistent from the manufacturer?
The pins, the registration pins on all of the machines are built and pinned for each machine.
Yep.
So they are inconsistent. They are proprietary to that machine.
Yeah.
So they're all adjusted.
And that's what I noticed. Yeah. So originally what I did, Chris, is, I've got the, just the 1/4-20 carriage bolts that will fit on any of them because there's not that much slop. But the minute we went to the regular, the 3D printed pins, which is quicker, faster, easier. But I really believe after the testing I've done on the Nova 24 tray, I think you could put in some 1/8" neoprene tape underneath that bolt tray, and I think you would be fine.
Yeah, I'll definitely get a shot when I get mine.
Yeah,
but also, like we talked, I'm gonna make some of those clamps that I was talking about that can sandwich it between the bar and the actual tray to hold it in place, and just have them like on a thumb screw or something quick and easy to put on and take off. And see if that helps. Because my concern with that, and I don't know if you've tried it, but if you set it up and then you go to put something in and you kind of bump it a little hard or something like that, does it move?
No, it's pretty well planted. It surprised me. Yeah, it surprised me. It's you can't physically move it from left to right without a tremendous amount of pressure.
Right. Now, is that something that you're going to start doing yourself?
The ones that I've sent out so far have the neoprene tape underneath.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. And just because it looked like to me, number one, without that neoprene tape, you just had aluminum to aluminum here, and there was just no way that was going to work. But yet I didn't have a way to reliably secure it other than what you were talking about, Jason, with the little C clamps.
Yep.
But after playing with this neoprene tape, I think I'm considering going forward to offer that on the bolt tray as well. Especially if you've got places where the holes are inconsistent and you can't get them pinned. Right. I think that's your answer. I really do.
Well, the problem I can see with the bolt would be the fact that it has a powder coated finish, which is very slippery.
Yeah.
Versus the Nova 24, where it's just a raw aluminum.
Aluminum. Yep.
I mean, I've got some tape, and I can try it and see what
give it a try and let me know. I'm going to try it online. Like I said, I've got probably close to 200 trays out there now, and literally I've had not one person indicate that there was a problem there. But if there is, I think that neoprene tape, you're going to lose a little bit of your Z, but it's 1/8 of an inch, so it's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
But I think if you've got alignment issues going on, that may be something. I'd try it for me, Jason, if you would. Let me know what you think.
Oh yeah, like Jeff's talking about the brute force and putting the pins in. Like on mine, I got one hole lines up perfectly. The other hole is a little bit skewed to the left and up. So, and with the pins being stair stepped, I usually push it into the second step, and it wedges, and then I don't have any issues with it.
Yeah.
So Rob, you're thinking that taking a unibit, just opening up that hole a little bit, will allow you to adjust it. I like the idea of the neoprene, and it's just going to stick there, especially when you have the weight of the rotary tool on top of that. It's not going anywhere.
I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I know, like I said, I've spent a pretty considerable amount of time on the 24, and it's not my 24. I don't have a 24 in my shop. I've got a fellow creator that's got a 24 in the same town that I've done. So they were gracious enough to just let me do what I needed to do to prototype and test. And I've spent a considerable amount of time over there doing that. And I'm very confident in the tape for the 24 for sure. So, which is nice because that's just one less thing you got to worry about. You set it in, you pull it forward, and away you go.
Yeah. Yeah, you did. I think you definitely got a winner with it.
I'm just glad Jeff is still responding. That means he's not polishing his.
He's going to send me a picture when he's all done.
He's probably responding in between putting the wax on the.
You need to expedite that, Rob. I want to be the first one with a nicely polished.
There you go. Well, both yours and Jason's are in the mail tomorrow. So
hold on. I got my mother's aluminum polish.
Oh, here. There you go.
I am ready to go.
I don't have that much time on my hands.
Neither do I, but I'm going to make it.
You're going to make it. Yeah, it'll be.
But no, I mean, I think the anodizing would be a good
Multitasking.
touch. And even
Yeah.
if the colors are a little bit off, because like especially around the holes and edges, they tend to get darker quicker
Right.
when they anodize it. But even with that, I mean, I don't think you'll have it.
I mean, it will scratch. It will have issues.
Yeah, I mean, but
defects. If it's raw metal, do what you want with it. Here it is.
Yeah,
exactly. Yep.
I mean, if it's cost prohibitive, then I wouldn't do it. But if it doesn't cost too much to do it.
Well, I would say that Rob has spent the money in the manufacturing side and the material side, and there's no more room to make it affordable.
Right.
So the anodization would be and put it over the edge, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's one of those deals where, and some people will pay for that. Matter of fact, one of the first trays that got received on the 24 side, they reached out and said, "Hey, would you be offended if I anodize this?" And I said, "No, that'd be fantastic. Send me some pictures." Right?
Yeah.
So it's just that the minute you start ordering one-offs, it gets expensive.
Yep.
Yeah. If you're not doing them in a batch, you're gonna pay through the nose to get them.
Yep.
I've been down that road.
I think mirrored and then fiber lasered with some graphics on it.
There you go. Yeah.
Go ahead,
if you've got some good settings for aluminum, let me know.
Oh yeah, I got them.
Oh yeah,
I got them.
Use the UV, you'll get a nice dark engraving.
Yeah, a little bit of time wasted, but yeah.
Yeah, but what it's just time.
That's
we got
right.
Plenty of it. We got plenty of it, right?
Lots of time.
You don't have time to polish it?
No.
All right.
Because polishing it means physical labor, and I'm not about that.
Well, you got employees, Jason.
Well, yeah, but I would never. I would never have them do anything I wouldn't do. So.
There you go.
Like I get out and sweep the floors just like everybody else. The only thing I regret is I don't get my hands on rotaries as much as, or if really at all, compared to what I used to. But
there you go.
Cost
some
of doing
scroll
business.
Work on it. That's a good idea. Jeff's gonna do some scroll work.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
Good. Endless possibilities with that.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And if you guys don't know, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the links down here to Rob's Computer Creations website and his Facebook page if you want to check out his stuff.
Yeah, if you've got any questions, reach out. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. Yeah, so that would be great. I sure appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, we're coming up on our time, but
throw in your questions, comments, concerns.
Anybody have any questions or anything? Let us know. Now's your chance. If we go a little bit over, I think that's fine with me.
Yep.
But yeah, if you have questions, we got 16 viewers right now, so yeah, ask away. But other than that, do you have are you working on anything else or?
Yeah, I've got I'm working with 85th and Pine, Catherine and Brandon over there. Yep. They've got a new service being launched on April 30th called Laser Design Club. And I'm working with them. I'm doing a Lightburn video series for them. That's going to be part of their service. And so I've got some external content that I'm creating for them, and I'm working on that right now. So that's great. One thing I love to do is talk about Lightburn. So that's right down my bailiwick. So yeah, I mean that's going to be go check
posted on that.
Yeah. Laserdesignclub.com is where it's going to be. And I think they're going to launch on April 30th. And so if you're interested in something like that, they're going to have, I'll have the Lightburn course in there. They'll have, I'm sure they're got other creators that are going to be doing different types of that kind of content on different topics. There'll be all kinds of different, it's going to be kind of a one-stop shop type of deal. But you won't be able to see anything until the 30th. So,
go speaking of training,
what's that?
Like a subscription based?
Yeah. Yes, I believe so. Yep.
Brilliant.
So speaking of training and stuff, I Are you
No,
still doing training, or do you have any way
I
people can
am.
get a hold
Yep.
of you?
No, it's one. I take about 3 to 4 sessions a week. They're 1 hour trainings. They're $100 an hour. And what I like to do, what I really enjoy about the training part is you never know if you're going to do just basic stuff or, advanced stuff. And so if you need some help there, hit me up on my Facebook business page. We can schedule something. I don't have a schedule posted. My schedule's so dynamic at this point that I'm doing it kind of old school, just when I can fit it in. And so I'm not doing a lot of it, but I'm doing some of it, and I will continue to do it. I'm about 1 to 2 weeks behind typically. And
So how can people reach out to you? Do you want to drop a link
so
in
if
the
you
chat?
get on, go to my Facebook business page, Computer Creations, send me an email at computercreations at charter.net. There's lots of ways you can get a hold of me. Get a hold of me on Facebook. Send me a message on Messenger. Typically, I'm responding to just about everybody, but some of the more fun things I like to do from a training perspective, and you guys see this on the forums all the time, where you have somebody that's just absolutely terrified to turn on their laser. They might purchased it, a year ago, and it's sitting in their garage, and they just can't get over that hump. Those are the kind of people I enjoy working with, and you take them, and then, 3 weeks later, they're, starting to do stuff, and it's pretty rewarding, and from my perspective, to do that. Or maybe you've got a real, you're thinking of a project, but you don't know how to approach it. You don't know how to set it up in Lightburn, or what it might take in your laser. I enjoy those as well.
Absolutely. So let's see. You got one question. What's the max weight the Talon chuck can hold? Well, that would be subject to the length of it mainly. I've done the 2.5 to 3 pound glass beer mugs without any issues. If you get much longer than that, like we have 2 separate locking mechanism. We have the actual protractor lock mechanism, and then with the kit that you get with the rotary, there's actually a replacement thumb screw that takes the place of the pivoting grub screw on that same side. So if you need to actually hold it more to keep it from tilting, you can replace that grub screw with a thumb screw and add an extra a second tensioning device. But the way that the chuck is designed, the pivot of the head is actually off center, so it's about 2/3 of the way up. So your weight is slung down low, so it's less likely to be able to pivot. So it's not centered, because if it was centered, it would allow it to pivot with less weight. So it's off center to allow it to handle more weight without moving, and then in addition with those 2 options for locking it in place. Now, as far as the jaws go, there's several different sets of jaws that come with it, or not jaws, but the rubber pads that come with it, that you can mix and match and see what works best for the object you're doing. And then there's also, if you get something that's too heavy, there is provisions for a arm or a support arm that can be attached to the rail to assist in things like that. But I mean, it would be pretty drastic to get something that it wouldn't hold. But as far as a weight, I don't know an exact weight for it. Bowling pins.
You got your work cut out for you.
Bowling pins. We actually have well, with the adapters that I'm coming out with, they're basically extensions that extend the jaws away from the face of the rotary about 1.5 to 2 inches, and with that, the teeth are serrated, so you can actually grip onto wooden things or whatever, and plus you can add your rubber bumpers to the end of it to make that extended out further. So if you're doing like something small like a shot glass, and you don't want to worry about the head hitting the chuck, then that spaces it away to allow you to do stuff like that. But as far as bowling pins, obviously I've never done one, and it could be done. You may need support for that, just because how awkward it is and would be to hold.
I can attest that I've done one on a junior.
Yep. And then, can I add a talent to a Rotoboss or Junior? Yes. So we have a video on YouTube. I can actually drop a link in the comments to it. There is a video on how to set that up, and it basically just replaces the end piece on the slave wheel side with the bracket that holds the chuck. And that can be adapted however needed to make it work. And also it works with the Ascend, which is originally what it was designed around or to work with. And then we also have an extension block for Galvo and for the Ascend or the Junior or whatever, that raises it up a little bit. So if you have something that's a really unique shape and you want support on it, it actually lifts it up so you can actually get that. Because there was a lady, Holly had that issue, and she made up her own little support wheels. But there is a bracket that is available to extend it up a little bit if you need to. Yeah, Tom, just let me know. Yeah. Anybody got any last questions before we head out of here? Sorry for the Facebook users. I don't know who you are on here, but I'll make sure to reach out to you on the actual video itself if you need anything else. So yeah, it looks like that's probably going to be it. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Like I said, at the bottom of the screen, you got the links to Robert's website and Facebook page. Check them out. Check out his trays. If you need help with anything, let him know. I'm sure he can help you out, fit it into your schedule. But
I think one of our topics for next time is something that Rob brought up, which is something that I ran into when I did a on-site visit, is the comfort level of people using their own machines.
Yep.
So maybe we can do a discussion of that, and something to look forward to for next time is overcoming the fear of using your machine.
Yep. And that leads into the next thing I was going to say is, if anybody has any suggestions of things that they'd like to see or have us talk about, because eventually we'll probably do like a Lightburn session where we're talking about different features of Lightburn, things like that. The Thunder lasers, all of us use Thunder lasers obviously, but I've had pretty much everything that's made except for AP and Laguna. So, I mean, I have a little bit of knowledge on all those. So we'll definitely start getting into kind of addressing Lightburn questions and concerns and issues, and as well as Thunder nuances and things like that people have questions. But if you have anything, what's it say?
There ain't no nuances.
Well, no, just like a lot of people that have a Nova, they get the bolt and they're still running it 0.08 on their line interval.
Yeah.
And they're having to defocus like crazy to keep from getting spaces and dead spaces and stuff.
Yeah.
And just things like that where, the beam size is different. Just going over nuances like that, not negative things, because I mean there's not too many negative things to speak of, just differences in the machines and how they work and all that stuff. This thing's pinging at me, telling me to get off. Thank good content tonight. Hope to meet Robert in a few weeks. Awesome. Are you coming down to ISA, Robert?
No.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna be at ISA? Yeah. I gotta put up with you again?
Yeah. If anybody's gonna be at ISA in Orlando in 2 weeks in April, feel free to hit us up. We'll be at the Thunder booth. You'll be able to talk to us, see our stuff, see how it works. Well, not just mine, but Thunder's obviously. But yeah, so if you're in the area, you want to stop by, feel free. I don't know what booth number they're at, but just look for the Thunder banner. I'm sure it'll be hanging up high, so you'll see it.
Yep.
But yeah,
I'll
we'll
be
be
there
so.
early Tuesday. I'll be there setting up and getting ready to go. So
Yeah, I'll be there Wednesday. But
That'd be awesome.
But yeah, so Robert, you got any last minute kind of closing?
Yeah, I
remarks
just
you'd like
wanted to thank you, Jason and Chris, for allowing me to come on and tell my story. I really appreciate it, and I think this is great.
Chris?
absolutely, sir. No, thanks guys or everybody, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.
All right. Yep. Thanks, Robert, for coming out. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with us and let us know a little bit about your story and your history and what you got coming and what you got out there right now. Chris, as always, you're wrong. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching. I hope this podcast was worth it as far as information and things like that. And as always, we're all available on many social media platforms and emails and things like that. So if you have any questions about anything, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help you. But other than that,
Have a good night.
We'll probably have another podcast in a few weeks. Stay tuned. We'll let you know when that's happening. And again, let us know if you have any inputs to what you'd like to see in the future. Other than that, everybody have a good night. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Oh, there you go.